So welcome to the Equine Vaccine and Holistic Care Conference. I'm Dr. Jeff Grognet, and with me is Dr. Renee Tucker. And Renee is a holistic equine practitioner, has been for over 30 years. She's certified in animal chiropractic, equine acupuncture, and co-created her own healing alignment energy technique called Tucker Biokinetic Technique. TBT. And after struggling to find true lasting results for horse problems, Renee realized that vet school just taught her to ask the wrong questions. I think a lot of us go through that realization about a dozen years out. That tends to be what happens to us. And her goal now is to find out how to find great solutions for horses. And so welcome, Renee. Okay, and what Renee is going to be talking about today is vaccines. And I just love the way that she came up with a wonderful title for this. Avoid slamming your head into the boulder like I did. And she's going to talk about her vaccine journey. And if it's anything like the thing that I went through, I call it the realizations I went through as I went through practice. I can appreciate what she's saying. So let's start on that, Renee. Where are we going?
Okay. That's great, Jeff. Thank you very much for having me again. And I just want to say thank you to all the viewers because, it's very good to start doing your own research and learning about this stuff, which I didn't do for a really long time. So I just wanted to keep this fairly brief. I just have 3 points of my life where I slammed my head into the boulder. And I thought I could just talk about those so that people could skip over slamming their head into that particular boulder. So, yeah, should I just start with my 3 stories?
Yes, let's get right into it. What was the first one?
Okay, let's get right into it. So, I, of course, graduated vet school in 1995 and from University of Tennessee. And thinking, okay, I know a little bit about vaccines. I know what they're supposed to stimulate the immune system, and it's going to protect the horse from that disease, and they're all safe, so you just give as many as you want. Cool. And that was my perspective when I started vet school, right out of vet school. And then now I am pretty much the opposite. But that's 30 years. So it takes a long time, but I don't want our viewers to take that long, okay? They can make their own judgments, but research now is good, which you're already doing. So my first thing was I went to chiropractic certification school, as Jeff mentioned, a few years out of vet school. And to go there, this was at Options for Animals in Illinois. And to go there, you have to be either a veterinarian or a doctor of chiropractic for humans. So I'm there, and it's like a 4-day course, multiple months worth. Anyways, I'm sitting down just minding my own business, Jeff, eating my lunch, when this distinguished looking gentleman sits down next to me, and it turns out he is a chiropractor, and he just starts talking to me about vaccines. And I'm like, okay, I thought we were here for chiropractic, but it's lunchtime, whatever. And he says, well, what do you think? Do you think they work? And I was like, of course they work. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, give me an example. And I'm like, what? I said, well, clearly polio, hello, right? There was polio, it was terrible. People were dying or they're in those iron lungs and it's super scary. And they did the polio vaccine with Jonas Salk and everyone was healed and they don't have polio anymore. So what are you talking about? This guy literally pulls, he has a briefcase or an attaché or whatever you have with him. He pulls out this little forms, this paperwork, and he goes, just look at these graphs for me. Just 1 second. It's the chart of polio. It's the chart of cases in the United States and the graph of the timeline. And then another chart, cases of the polio in Europe and the timeline. And he says, well, what do you see? I said, well, they're the same thing where you see the peak in polio cases and then both in the US and Europe, then they go down. And this is around the 1950s area. And he's like, right, it's the same, right? It peaked and then it goes down. I'm like, yeah. And I go, because of the vaccine. And he's like, the vaccine was only in the United States. Europe did not use the vaccine. They have the same chart. And my brain went, what? And I still can feel the cognitive dissonance when you have these, that's what it's called, when you have two opposing truths and your brain literally can't take it. It doesn't know what to do. It really hurts. It gives you a headache, and it wanted to slam my head into a boulder. But to be frank, Jeff, I couldn't do anything with that information. I'm like, clearly there's a chart, and so it wasn't the vaccine, but what was it? And I don't know. And it was like, does not compute, does not compute. I didn't do anything about it, didn't do anything. What was I supposed to do? I don't know. But I'm trying to just drip these little bits so that you don't have to slam your head too much, because I did. I was like, what? But then I couldn't do anything that I knew of. So time went on. And so the next thing that I happened to run into was this pamphlet from which has a picture on it. Don't have it in front of me, but it was a pamphlet for the Anti-Vaccination League from 1890. And I was like, wait a minute. I mean, I got 5 vaccines when I was a kid. My mom got 5-ish vaccines when she was a kid. How long have these vaccines been around? And why would people be protesting laws about vaccines in 1890? And I was like, what? What? I thought this whole anti-vaxxer thing was like new, recently in the last 20 years or something. No, 1890. And again, I was like, what? And my brain could not compute it. I couldn't do anything with it. I was just kind of frozen in my thinking. I couldn't get past it. So I really empathize with people who want to know about this, but don't want to know about this, because what do you do? So, and in fact, it turns out that there have been vaccines and laws about having to have vaccines as early as Jenner in 1789, when they wanted the smallpox vaccine. And in fact, there was a Vaccine Act in 1853 in England where you had to be vaccinated against smallpox. And if you refuse, they would literally hold you down and force you to get vaccinated. So therefore, there are people protesting this. It's like, well, if this vaccine works, then why wouldn't we just all want to do it? Why isn't it forced and not optional? And my brain could not compute this. If it's safe and it's good, then I want it, don't I? But why is it being forced? Doesn't compute, right? It doesn't make sense. So that was that and that. And then the third thing was I found out some information about what's actually in the vaccines. Because originally in vet school, I was taught about, well, you give a little bit of the disease, so it's a virus or bacteria, whatever it is. They give a little piece of it and it's dead, non-harmful. And of course, you can't just give that. You got to put it in some liquid. And, you need some preservative and some antibiotics so everything stays safe and good. That seems reasonable. But it turns out there's a whole lot more stuff in there that doesn't make sense. Here's a short list. First of all, there's gelatin. Now, that sounds fine. What's gelatin? Well, it's derived from pigs. But wait, there's more. There's also chick embryo cells. And there's other animal cells, like the African green monkey cells, mouse serum protein, fetal bovine serum, canine kidney cells, shark liver oil. And I'm reading this list, and Jeff, I'm thinking, why? This is for humans, by the way, and it's also in our animal vaccines. But I'm thinking, why does a human need all these different types of animal cells? This makes no sense. The only thing all those different types are going to do is antagonize the immune system.
Yeah.
And they may say that's what they're doing it for, to increase immune response. But it's just going to mess everything up. And that's not even to mention the MRC5 cells, which are derived from the lung tissue of an aborted fetus, a human fetus. Mm-hmm. Then you have all the other toxins. That's thimerosal, which is mercury, which they say they've taken it out, but they have not. And they have formaldehyde and they have aluminum. In fact, if you look at this list, there's 17 neurotoxins in every shot. And I'm thinking, again, my brain freezes up. I remember, I'm like, this can't be right. It can't be. It can't be all these neurotoxins and weirdo cells and safe. It doesn't make any sense. And so I slammed my head on the boulder again. Didn't do much. If you guys are interested in learning more about ingredient stuff, there's learntherisk.org. I can talk more about that later if you want. That's just not my website, just somebody where I learned it from.
Okay.
And so then during this time, that was my sort of research. But at the same time, I started to work with this lady who is like a homeopath. She does frequency remedies, that type of thing. So I'll just call her a homeopath because mostly people know that word. It's the same idea. And I was doing veterinary medicine, acupuncture, chiropractic at the time, and ran into some of her clients who were doing this homeopathic type work. And we worked really well together because the acupuncture would, accentuate her stuff. So I thought, cool. Well, I kept running into her patients who were having weird problems. This one horse had extremely large ring bones, so much that she was lame from ring bone. She was like 8, the really big horse, but just incredibly large ring bone. And what we were doing with her stuff and my stuff was keeping the horse sound. So that was really cool. But what I learned from her over time is I would talk to her for the cases because I wanted to make sure the acupuncture that I was doing lined up with her treatment. Because if you do the acupuncture, you can do it in a different manner, which would still be good, but not if they're using something else. You know what I mean? Sometimes they would contraindicate each other. So I chat with her.
Yep.
So I saw some cases. Just give me some examples here. I saw a horse, terrible fly allergies, right? The whole front of the chest is just eaten up with bugs. And the horse was so miserable that I saw this myself, somehow manage to lay down on the ground, but on the sternum, on the front of the chest, to itch, to just rub back and forth, and just was rubbing its chest so bad. I'm like, this horse is constant misery, constant. And, there are veterinary treatments that help the topical stuff, the inflammation and stuff like that. But it doesn't get to the cause of the fly allergies. I thought, well, it's allergies. You can't get rid of allergies, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then she did her treatment, and it did take, a few months and whatever. And then as I'm working with the horse, I saw it just go away. And the horse didn't ever have fly allergies again. And I was like, huh. So I talked to her, and she was saying, this is caused by the vaccines. I'm like, oh, it can't be. They're safe. But that's when I learned what the ingredients were. I'm like, oh. So if you have all these crap toxic ingredients and the body doesn't know what to do with it and can't really get rid of it because it's not designed to get rid of injectable stuff like this, instead of being able to naturally get rid of it, it filters it out the skin. So then you have this crap coming out, heavy metals and toxins and all this stuff, and the flies think it's delicious. And so mostly the serum of the horse, which is oozing out with this stuff, trying to get rid of it, the flies think this is great stuff. I'm going to eat it. And then, of course, the flies get blamed. But it's not even the flies. It's what's in the horse. So she told me about that. I saw it with myself. I saw it multiple times. All this allergy stuff, this is from vaccines. It can totally be cleared out. Sometimes people call it vaccinosis. So it's like they want to say this horse is sensitive to the vaccines, and so it's vaccinosis, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. So I saw her also working together with her. We cleared horses from ulcers. As you know, probably know, I'm sure everybody may know, lots of horses have ulcers.
That's right.
Studies show anywhere from 60% all the way up to a study in thoroughbred racehorses is 95% have ulcers. Now, what I've learned is that there's stuff that is in the vaccines that stays in the lining of the intestine, causing microscopic hidden holes. If you look at any unvaccinated horse population, none of them have ulcers. It's very clear. Ulcers are from vaccines. If you're not vaccinated, you don't get ulcers. It doesn't matter how much stress you're under, it doesn't matter what you're feeding them. None of that matters. It's the vaccines that cause ulcers. And actually, that's what I have for your people is kind of a discount code for my Save Your Horse from Ulcers, Fix Horse Ulcers Forever PDF. And I'll tell you the code at the end. But yeah, so I learned that from her. I learned how to clear it and how to keep your horse from getting it and all that kind of stuff. But the gist of it is I went from, thinking they're safe and effective because I didn't know enough. And then I started learning these things, and it literally felt like my head was hitting a boulder because it hurts and I couldn't comprehend it. And then at the same time, I'm learning, wait a minute, these alternative people are getting this stuff fixed. I'm a veterinarian. I want to fix it. So I went to vet school for, is to help horses. And I am not helping horses. In fact, this is not going so well. So that's pretty much my journey in a nutshell. And now I am not a fan of vaccines at all. So any questions on that, Jeff?
Yeah, no, the thing is, you get these realizations as you go through, and I love that thing about your the polio graphs, right? And I mean, just in my career in veterinary medicine, and here I'm going to change species here. I'm going to go to cats for a second.
Yeah.
I used to see a fair number of cats, a ton of cats, with feline leukemia and their tumors in the belly when I first started graduating. And I used to see one every week at the hospital I was at. I mean,
Wow.
it was a case of, oh, my cat isn't eating that well and it's losing weight. And then you go and feel the belly and you go, oh,
Oh,
we got cancer, right?
dang.
Because feline leukemia virus triggers cancer in cats. And but the thing is, a vaccine came out for it. And then miraculously, a few years later, God, we're not seeing them very much. We see, I'm not kidding, we go down to one or two a year at the practice. So it's kind
Huh.
of like, oh, okay, what happened to them? And the kicker was the ones that were uh, getting the cancer were the ones that were vaccinated,
Oh,
like later on. But the whole amount just went down like a boom. And it's kind of like, this is the thing that a lot of veterinarians came out with. This statement is, I think the vaccine came out too late. In other words, there was a natural decline happening, and then the vaccine came
yeah.
out and claimed that it did it, right?
Right.
But it was already happening when the vaccine came out, and so the main thing is that yeah, we've got those same examples in veterinary medicine, and the horse one that comes to mind, and maybe your thoughts on this one, West Nile.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when it first came out, it was going to be the scourge of the equines, and it was going to kill every horse on the planet, and birds were going to deliver it and all that stuff, and it's like this is a wildlife disease. But the same thing is, it seems to have kind of gone down in numbers, hasn't it?
Yes, I don't have the exact data on that, but it was very curious because it it travels like across the country, and then it like you're saying, the numbers go up and then they go down. Same with EPM, equine protozoal myelitis, all started over on the East Coast. I was actually in Tennessee area at the time. And then I would see an EPM horse every week, at least one. And I could eventually tell just by watching them walk across the field. I didn't even need a test. It was like, well, they're just that little bit wobbly, even not their whole body, but even one leg. You could just see it. It was very interesting. And that was all of a sudden. And coincidentally, I moved to Washington State and it hadn't got there yet. And they said it'll never get here because Washington doesn't have opossums, right? And then somehow, Jeff, it got there.
Hmm.
And I was one of the first people actually to see it because I knew how to see it. And then I tested for it. I'm like, it's right here. We have the same thing now. It got here magically. I don't know what that really is, but it does. It's like the numbers go up and then they go down. And
Yeah.
yeah, I think they have a vaccine-free PM, but yeah, it's a very interesting. Where do these problems actually come from? Is kind of a whole nother ball
That's,
of wax over
there's
there.
a yeah, there's a lot of a lot of things that we can look at under that category for sure,
Right,
you know.
right.
But
Yeah.
the thing is this I mean what you went through and what I went through and I'll say what holistic vets go through is this sort of like, oh, what I was taught in vet school is not correct. It's not and you have to sort of just push it away. But the problem we have, very simply, is that 94% of equine veterinarians are vaccinating all the time with all the bugs. And
Yes,
and the whole point of this conference is to say, hey guys, there's other ways to do this, you know, and you brought up your reasons why, but the key is that we have to go through a whole education and then realization. So what you need to do, Renee, is to go and grab those boulders and start throwing them at the other veterinarians that are still doing all that vaccinations.
I know. You're
Okay.
totally right. And I do know a couple, a handful even, that are, well, of course, they start getting more holistic. Once you start just opening your mind to say, wait a minute, this isn't right, then the door opens. You just need that little crack to
Yeah.
get it open, then you can learn more of
Yeah.
it.
I mean, my path, similar to yours, the first course I took in holistic medicine was acupuncture. And I got
Hmm,
IVIS certified and all that stuff. But
right.
the point is, the thing that really got triggered when I was there was nutrition.
Hmm,
And that was because of the lunchtime talks.
interesting.
Same
Wait, what
idea.
did you learn about nutrition for
Uh,
the dogs?
that we need to, yeah, this was just for dogs and cats.
Okay, yeah.
And the key being was that, gee, do you realize how many poisons are in those commercial foods? You know, and then it moved on
Right.
to what are you really feeding them? You know, and we don't have this in horses, as in dogs and cats are supposed to eat meat. You know, so why aren't we feeding meat? Oh,
Right.
great question. You know, and so it just developed from there, right? And
Exactly.
so,
Same thing.
but yeah, you don't have that, I call it crisis in nutrition in equine medicine in the same way, as in you don't have
Right.
big, you know, food companies producing these processed, well, you do now actually, but
Yeah.
the point is,
Yeah.
yeah, they're producing these processed foods, and it's kind of like, hey guys, there's a thing called quote natural around here. Last night, I was sitting here looking out the window, and two little bucks came by.
Uh-huh.
Those are deer, in case anyone wonders what a buck is. But anyway, two little bucks, you know, and they're just getting their velvet on their antlers, the whole bit, and they were just wandering through, eating the grass in the pasture, and then this is the key. Then they went to a fir tree, and we've got it's spring, so we've got all the fresh growth on that fir tree, all the beautiful soft needles, if you want to call it that,
Yeah.
and boom, they're eating that. All
Wow.
those trees around here, like not origami, you know, the little bonsai trees. They look
Oh,
like
bonsai.
bonsai trees because the
Oh,
deer just nibbled them down. And they're not doing it because they're hungry. They're doing it because they're getting the grass and they're getting the trees and they're getting their
yeah.
diet, right?
Yeah, they go find what their body's telling them they need.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
That's exactly it,
perfect.
you know. So it's kind of neat because I thought they went after the trees because they were hungry when the grass wasn't there.
Well, it makes sense.
Wrong.
But
Totally wrong.
right.
No.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So anyway, that's the scoop. So anyway, any final words on the vaccines, Renee?
No, those were just my big ones. I have, more I can say than I might say later. But that was my big beyond eye-opening, just like you're saying. It's just this,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah.
How? It doesn't compute, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And the problem is most veterinarians will hear that, discount it, and move on.
Yeah. And
Okay.
I think you kind of get stuck because you're working all the time. You don't really have a whole lot of time to think, and research and go back, but it just keeps coming. And if you keep your mind open, it'll keep coming.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you for that. And you were talking about your ulcer resource for people?
Oh, yes. So I do have an ulcer PDF. It's like an ebook. So it's called Fix Your Horse's Ulcers Forever. Normally $29.95 if you use the coupon code Jeff5. So that's JEFF and the number 5. Then there will just be $5 instead of 29.
Okay.
So that's on my website, which is wheredoesmyhorsehurt.com.
Yeah, I've
Which
got
is the
the
name of our
link
book.
right below, Renee.
I
No
got the
problem
link.
at all.
Perfect. It's very long. Sorry about that. But
And
yeah,
I got you covered. Okay.
cool. That's awesome.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on board. This has
Sure, sure. It's
been
always
good.
fun.
And the thing is, people can sort of realize that how do we change veterinarians' attitudes? Well, you need a great big stick, you need a boulder, whatever. But you need to be able to, I very simply hit them between the eyes with some facts. But the
Hmm.
problem is you have to have a veterinarian that's receptive to being hit. And
Yes.
a lot of them aren't they? So
Yeah.
unfortunately, they're going to be stuck in their vaccine world forever. But the main thing is, you've got to, as a veterinarian, if you want to look after animals, you have to keep your eyes open as to what's the best way I can do that.
Right.
And that's what you've done. So thank you for
Right.
being on that ship, Renee.
Well, thank you too. And thank you for having me, Chad. It's always a
Okay.
pleasure.
Okay, so thank you. And thank you everyone for watching. And hopefully it's given you a bit of an insight as to what Renee was thinking and what changed her thoughts. And definitely you'll see that throughout all the speakers here, as in, gee, they came to a realization and then they're telling you what they want to do. So thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next webinar.